अरे तो टेंशन क्या कर रहा है फिर से बीटेक कर लेंगे
So instead of making products, you're making communicating objects.
Mukul Goyal, the finest object designer.
I personally wouldn't like to think I'm serious.
Few cookies. What's the most dangerous thing in Mukul's studio?
Jugaad, in a way, for me is...
I'm sure Darwin theories apply.
You know, the nascent stage of internet addresses, मेरा ID ये है.
And you were saying मेरा curtain rod का ID ये है.
Early childhood days, we used to have these Pedro jokes.
Experimental material you ever worked with.
Cut the base and cut the top and removed everything and they just have the two rings.
18-year-old Mukul Goyal. What's Mukul's dream collaboration?
Me. You selling a good design product, give them a good design product. Period.
Welcome to Heardesigners, Season 1, Episode 2, a podcast for designers by designers. From art hardware to redefining functional designs, Mukul Goyal's journey is nothing short of inspiring. A designer who seamlessly blends creativity with utility. Mukul has reimagined everyday objects into timeless pieces of art. Today we dive deep into his world, exploring his journey, philosophies, and of course, his lighter side. So welcome to our show, Mukul Goyal. We all know Mukul Goyal and Mukul Goyal Designs. But what we don't know is how this journey began as an 18-year-old Mukul Goyal and the journey forward is.
Wow, that's a long time ago. But yeah, so basically 18 years old, I joined IIT Kanpur engineering school basically. At the age of 16 and a half. So I was already at IIT when 18 happened, you know.
Oh.
Yeah. So, well, the thing is that we led very insulated lives then. Your worldviews were very limited to what you saw around you. Media and all of that was very limited. So your exposure of your family and your environments decided who you were at that point of time. But when I reached IIT and the kind of campus it had and the kind of environment it had, my senses exploded in a way. You know, it was a beautiful campus, beautifully designed, and there were so many opportunities to explore. And I started exploring a little bit of art there during some of the courses that we had on art, as well as a great library and certain workshop facilities that were available to us. So it kind of started as a nascent exploration of something that excited you and eventually snowballed into something much bigger, much later.
So this engineering was a decision made by parents ideally?
You had that kind of inkling. It was not a decision, but yes, it was either engineering or medicine, like it was in most families. Medicine, it was not to be because I couldn't handle genetics in my studies. It's too complicated. And so I kind of by default moved towards engineering. Though I did try for architecture at the age of when I was finishing school. And unfortunately, the only architecture college I applied was in Lucknow, which is where I was during that time. And I was underage for it. So though I qualified for the college, I was termed underage, so I didn't get admission.
So how life would have been different if you would have went to architecture?
You never know. I might have been an architect. Or I might have found my way all around it. So, you know, these are questions which you always think that, okay, had I gone to NID when I had finished my 12th, or had I gone to an architecture school, what would I have been like? Honestly, I don't think I want to exchange my experiences in any which way. I think today I'm very fortunate to have been able to explore what I have done so far. And if it had not been for those experiences that I've already been through, I may not get that opportunity. So I don't want to change anything.
So how did you break it to the family that I want to go into design, breaking the traditional chains of engineering and all? And
Well, that was a tough one. That was a very tough situation for me. Well, I had started getting very fond of art, and my first job was in Faridabad, with Eicher as a management trainee, and so I would spend all my free time going to the National Gallery, museums, which Delhi has a lot of. And I also started going to Delhi College of Art, Tilak Marg, and meeting some of the students there. So one didn't know of design, really, honestly. And I only knew of art because that was more obviously available to everyone. And so I thought I'll be an artist, not a designer. But so what I after having worked at Eicher for a year, and this thing kept growing inside me that my life is going to slip away if I don't make a move. So I told my parents I want to be an artist, and they completely freaked out, especially my father. My mother didn't know what's happening, but my father freaked out. He said, "Oh, your class fellows from IIT Kanpur, they are in IAS or they're in IIMs or they've gone abroad. Why didn't you do any of these things?" Which he was opposed to earlier. But he said, "Okay, you really want a compromise? You can do any of these." And I said, "I'm not interested in any of these and I want to be an artist." I don't know, I had this strange stroke of inspiration where I, bargained with him and I said, "Listen, why don't you give me 2 years? Let me explore for 2 years. And if you find me meandering and not really choosing something that I would have liked to do, then you choose for me, I'll take up that path. But give me 2 years." And he agreed to that. But he initially didn't speak to me for a good 2 months. It was tough for him.
Period.
It was a tough thing for him also, And of course, the relatives didn't make it easier, But beta haath se nikal gaya.
And back then, when it's not even today, 2024.
Yeah.
So you just spoke about inspiration. What really inspires you of everything that you design, small, big, large?
It's very difficult to put your fingers on any one thing, The thing is, I like to lead a full life, and I, whether it's music, whether it's, work of the predecessors, real work, people who have done some amazing work and have really inspired you, or nature, which is great, people around you. I think I honestly believe in one thing, that life is a magic show, and every morning you get up and you should know how to clap. So if you can enjoy the magic of life, because if you ask the question how life happens, there's no answer, right? So it's a magic. And so there's magic all around you. And if, like a child, if your eyes are, star-studded with the kind of things happening around you, then you cannot not be inspired by it.
No,
so it's very difficult to say one particular thing, It's everything.
I mean, so well put. I cannot even say any further. But in your early days, I was reading one of the articles where you spoke about, trash to treasure. And you did a fish hook redesign. And you have done a lot of such things where you have taken inspiration from pieces of life where nobody would ideally even look at. So how did this mindset or this thing happen that it really inspired you to create objects?
So, I don't know. So there's so many parallel stories happening at all points of time. One thing is, of course, my father was an engineer, and he was the epitome of what we call Indian jugaad. He would jugaad everything in the house, right from the whole house was a jugaad, in a way, Though he was in the Air Force and he was supposed to be a very precise engineer with high tech and all of that. But in his real life, he was a jugaad person, And so everything was being repaired at home. So he had this box of electrical spare parts, old plugs and sockets, and everything that broke in the house used to be kept in this little dabba. And everything that finally broke was being repaired from something inside this. So one fine day I was doing something and I came across these old sockets and pieces, and so I started opening it, and things started unraveling within. Now you see the old, sockets. They were made out of brass, which was stamped and then turned into sockets for putting the plugs in. But if you open them, they had beautiful forms unto themselves. Now the fact is, it was beauty revealing itself from a source which is completely unheard of. So the fact is that I just got inspired by them and I said, well, this deserves a greater celebration than being inside a socket. And then you make a small piece of jewelry out.